About, gosh, I don't even know how long it's been, 23 years ago, maybe longer than that. I was preaching in Cleveland, Ohio, in this little church, and I was preaching a message that later became kind of, I'm going to say, famous in our little circle. The message was, Satan, the blood is against you. And I was preaching it. I was preaching it. And this guy sat down in the floor, this big guy just sat down in the floor and started crying. And his woman collapsed right beside him. And all the little kids started crying and worshiping. And, well, you might not know you young people, but when you preach, when somebody worships God excessively, you pay attention. I didn't know who they were then. I later learned that their name was the Bradys. Well, I had that happen a lot of times. And then, you go on and they go on and, well, they start following me. I turn up in another city, here come this big old guy. You can't miss him. You got to recognize when he come in. It ain't like you didn't know he was there. And then they start singing and stuff. Well, I was kind of embarrassed because they heard me preach at all these big churches and stuff. But back home in West Virginia, in the country where I lived and grew up, I had a little tiny church, and they wanted to come to West Virginia. I told them, I said, well, you know how it is to be all dressed up and stuff and look like you got a little something, and somebody want to come over to your house and you say, well, well, here come this big old bus with all these kids on it right up in front of the bus was bigger than my church. And they got on off that bus and went to shouting and jumping and hollering. I thought they was going to be acting funny. And you know what? They joined. They joined my church in the hills of West Virginia. I don't even think I was on TV yet. I wasn't on TV. I wasn't famous. I didn't have no big church. I didn't have no big name. All I had was a word. They moved to Charleston, West Virginia. Now, Charleston, West Virginia, the entire membership of the city is about the size of this congregation and the whole city. They moved to West Virginia and stayed in West Virginia until God told me to come to Dallas. And guess what they did? They moved to Dallas. So when I started my church in Dallas, they were down here helping me start that church for several years, and then God called them to pastor, and they started and established a wonderful church in Winston-Salem, Raleigh, North Carolina, called the River, and they left and been there for 10 years. And but don't clap yet, because that ain't the good part. Here's the good part. They're coming home. Potter's house, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. The Bradys are coming home, and we're excited about it. I want you to welcome them and their family back as they come here to help me do the work that God has called me to do.